Have you ever had the opportunity to meet a deaf person? If you haven't yet, you most likely will sometime in your life. If you have, then you know how frustrating it can be for a hearing person to communicate with a deaf person. Now, imagine how frustrating it is every day for that deaf person to communicate with somebody who doesn't know their language. I have been lucky to meet and get to know multiple deaf people in my studies at Troy University and the beginning classes of their interpreter training program. In these classes, I have learned that communication between a deaf person and a hearing person who does not know ASL is nearly impossible and difficult at its best. Hearing people in America and around the world should learn to communicate in the sign language native to their country so that deaf people can communicate with the general population. In my speech today, I'm going to tell you why hearing people should learn ASL. First, I'll start off by telling you a little bit about ASL. ASL was created in 1817 by Thomas Gallaudet and Laurent Clerc. ASL is a combination of French, Village, and a home sign language systems. ASL is a language of its own. It is not a direct or indirect translation of English. It also has an entirely different grammar structure than English. The differences between the languages can cause confusion in attempts to communicate. One major difference is that sentences are not ordered in the same way. This can make interpretation difficult. For example, time concepts are generally used at the end of an English sentence, while in ASL they are always at the beginning. Also, ASL does not use words like English does. ASL uses concepts and images to convey meaning instead. One of the biggest problems facing communication between a deaf person and a hearing person is the extreme difficulty for deaf people to learn spoken English in a way that is convenient for communication in a normal public setting. Deaf people have a hard time learning English. Speaking English is almost impossible for some deaf people. It isn't the same as someone who speaks Spanish learning to speak English. People who have been born deaf do not have the same concept of sound as someone who has been hearing their whole life, or even someone who was born hearing but then became deaf. Hearing people learn English through the sounds the letters make. How can someone who can't hear the sounds the letters make learn how to spell or to use English in a speaking setting? It's not very easy. This is the main reason hearing people should learn ASL. While it is extremely difficult for a deaf person to learn a speaking language, it is much easier for a hearing person to learn ASL. It is respectful and courteous to the deaf community and their culture for a hearing person to learn or know ASL and communicate with them in their own language. Besides this most important reason for learning ASL, there are a multitude of other benefits to learning ASL. Some benefits include ASL helping a hearing person improve their nonverbal communication skills, body language and gesturing, for example. ASL can also help babies communicate before they can speak efficiently. Employers are also looking for people who know how to sign so that they can communicate with the deaf population and cater to the American with Disabilities Act. Since ASL has been growing so much in use lately, many universities have started offering ASL classes and are allowing them to be used as a foreign language requirement. On a more emotional note, the satisfaction of making someone's day because you can speak to them in their own language is a wonderful feeling. ASL is a beautiful language that expresses ideas and concepts in a unique way. The deaf community is isolated and restricted in some ways because of the lack of hearing people who know ASL. We can fix this as a community by learning sign language and reaching out to the deaf community. I have not met a deaf person or heard of a deaf person who opposes the spread of ASL through the hearing community. As a matter of fact, they encourage it. Hearing people should learn ASL, or the native sign language of their country. Deaf people are great people who deserve better treatment than they receive, and it is the responsibility of the hearing community to reach out to them.